Elections meeting to order. It is Thursday, January 16th, 2025, and I think it's still 7:01. We'll start with the roll call. Debbie Yatsick.
Here.
Liam Mercer.
Present.
And myself, Eileen Leahy, is present. For staff, we have Teresa Bucalo is present. Next order of business is public comments. Teresa, did we receive any that you're aware of?
No, no comments.
Okay. All right, approval of the minutes. We have two to approve tonight. One is the November 21st, 2024 minutes. I see that Ashley Leonard from the Office of Law is now joining us. Welcome. Anyway, did you all get a chance to look at the minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, it only really applies to Debbie, I guess. Any changes or comments?
Nope.
Nope.
They look good.
All right. Can I have a motion to approve?
Yeah. I move approval of the minutes of December, what was it, 19th?
November.
Oh.
November 21st.
Okay, November 21st, 2024.
Okay, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, so moved. Moving on to the approval of the minutes for January 8th, 2025. That was our special meeting.
I'll move to approve the minutes of from January 28th, 2025.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. That was easy. Unfortunately, Regina is not feeling well tonight and isn't going to make the meeting. Teresa, do you have anything in particular to bring up?
No, Eileen, there's no updates to speak of.
Okay. We have a couple of things in terms of election logistics that we'll cover under new business. I do have a question, since Ashley, you're here. Something that usually Regina reports on is the status of the MOU. Have we heard anything more?
Not that I'm aware of. We did ask for updates. I'll follow up. If we don't hear anything by tomorrow, I'll see if I can put in another nudge. But no, we haven't heard anything since we were there.
Okay, because we really need to moving on the provisional balloting and canvassing, at least to start drafting it.
Yes, agree. And we also need to do things like budgeting and getting all of that straightened out as well. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think I haven't heard anything, and usually Gina's pretty good about copying me in on anything if it comes up. So I'll put a note that I need to reach out to their attorney and David tomorrow.
Okay, I mean, the changes we've been discussing in regards to particularly the canvassing are trying to bring them in line with what they're doing. So if possible, I'd like to at least get that drafted. So
yeah, you could probably start it. But we'll see. But yeah, we do need to get that MOU done. But yeah, I mean, we can probably start drafting it.
Okay, because I met with Cynthia and then was told kind of put a hold on it. So she and I have met already. And again, it's not a lot of changes. It's really just bringing it in line with what they're doing. The major change being when we open ballots and start counting.
Okay. Yeah, no, that I would say go ahead and start working on it, and I'll see if I can get some more information on the MOU. Okay.
And I think normally you all do most of the budgeting, but I mean, or Regina's office does, but if we need some more, if you need input from us, just let us know.
No, it's more that just the city's entering budget season, so we need to put in the numbers. So we need to get information from the state about how much they want us to put in there. So that way we don't have to down the road do like a supplemental appropriation multiple times or something like that. So
right. I think last time we had a surplus, so I think we were pretty good with our estimates.
Yeah, I had recommended that we go with our budget from last time with maybe a little cushion as at least a starting point, but it would be nice to get some more specific numbers.
Right, we may actually do pretty well depending on how many people sign up for mail-in balloting. I mean, our big expense last time was postage.
Yeah.
We sent the ballots out to everybody, so that would be the biggest change for now, so. Okay, all right, sounds good. Anything else you want to add, Ashley, from your end?
I don't think so. I haven't heard anything else.
All right, great. All right, well, let's move on to certificate of candidacy for Alderman, submitted by Ben Branson for Ward 1. Teresa did verify that the county did send verification of his voter registration and also of his residence in Ward 1. Any comments, questions?
So his real name is Benjamin. Just because that's in his email address.
Mhm.
On his certificate, I guess he filed as Ben. Do they have to file it with their registration name?
I'd have to double check, or maybe Ashley can say this. I don't think it's an issue for the certificate of candidacy. You can't use nicknames when you put a name on the ballot.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for the ballot for sure. I don't know about the certificate off the top of my head.
Mhm.
But I have to look it up.
Yeah, I don't recall anything. I mean, it's a good point to bring up, but I think we're good. I'm trying to think of some of the others. If there's any other, I mean, Fred Prayon always went by Fred.
Yeah, I was
He's the one that comes to mind.
Joe Budge.
Yeah. So, but on the ballots, they would have come up with their full names.
Yeah, well, and Ellie Tierney.
Yeah. Made me think today we'll have to check with Harry Huntley if Harry is a nickname or his actual birth name. Anyway, we digress. All right, back to Mr. Bramson. It looks pretty complete to me. He has quite a signature.
Yeah, that's different.
But I didn't see anything out of order. Comments, Debbie, Liam?
Comments from
Okay.
Yeah, those signatures of very, very, yeah, messy, different.
All right. Do we have a motion to accept the certificate of candidacy?
I move that we accept the certificate of candidacy for Ben Bramson for Ward 1.
second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Okay. All right, our second one is certificate of candidacy for Alderman in Ward 7. And
Is he on the call with us? Is he at the
yes,
meeting?
Alderman Savage, did you have any comments or anything you wanted? There he is.
Sorry, you cut out there for a second.
Mhm.
Did you ask something of me? Sorry, I
We
couldn't hear.
just asked if you had any questions
No.
or anything before we proceed.
No, just here in case there are any questions for me.
Uh-huh. Well, good for you for having both a treasurer and a campaign manager. That can be a feat.
Yes. Yeah.
Bringing his up.
Looked complete to me. Any comments, questions?
It looks fine to me. You've had practice.
Yes. A little.
Well, if there's no comments or questions, can I have a motion?
A big hit candidacy for Robert Sapp.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Well, congratulations or condolences.
Yeah.
Yes, my wife, it's definitely condolences.
Right.
Okay.
No, I'm just
Well,
kidding.
flowers
Thank you.
always help.
Yes. All right. Thank you all for the work
All
you
right.
do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
Please
night.
continue to
All right, we're just moving along. Okay, moving on to polling locations. So just a little history of this. In 2017, I think we had 15 or 14 polling locations. And we had challenges finding 2 locations in each ward. And the way code reads, you have to have at least 1, but you could have 2. So going into
second.
2021, we made the decision just to go with 1. And the Anne Arundel Board of Elections does a really good, thorough review of all of the different polling locations in terms of capacity, accessibility, parking, probably even bathrooms, the whole 9 yards. So there was a little concern when we went from 2 in most wards down to 1, but it went well in 2021. Granted, we had a fair amount of mail-in ballots, but we anticipate that 1 in each ward should be sufficient. And so these are all 8 are the ones that we used in 2021. Just speaking from experience with them, they've all been, especially in 2021, very good to work with, and they all said yes. So, so that's great. I just thought we'd go through real quick. So if there's any questions or concerns on any of them. So City Council Chambers is for Ward 1. I know that, Teresa, that you all have been in touch with the parking, with the garage in terms of how to allow for parking when people vote.
Eileen, I have not heard from Regina any updates with regards to that conversation, so I
Okay,
can't.
well, I know she had mentioned to me that they're working that out. In
Mm.
2021, we just gave tickets. So she's already been in contact with the appropriate parking people. So
Okay.
that, yes, they could use their free 2-hour, but they could also use, and so there'll be a drop box located across the street. All of the drop boxes at this point, I would recommend that they go where they were last time because they were in full view of cameras. We only had to rent 1 camera. There were cameras at other places. So City Council Chambers is 1.
And on that one, excuse me, Eileen, so the door now to go into City Hall is not off of Duke of Gloucester, it's off of the side, right? It's on the side now?
I don't know if that's temporary or permanent.
It's permanent. It's going to be permanent.
Okay.
And
It's still accessible from Duke, but it's the ramp on the side of the building versus the doors in the middle of the building.
right. So that'll be the entrance they'll come in and out of, the side one?
Yeah, I believe, as far as I know, that is the plan. The plan is for that side one that has the ramp because it's more ADA friendly. It's permanent entrance at some point.
Right. So the last time when we had our meeting in person at City Hall, we found out that, you know, we had to use the side one, which was fine, but there was no light and it was dark. It was dark. And so our elections are in September and November, and at 8 o'clock in November, September should be okay, but there needs to be maybe a light put up or tilted or something so that it looks like so that there's a light at the entrance. So when people come and go, they know that's the entrance and it's safe.
All right.
Is it dark when you leave? Have you noticed, Ashley, if it's been fixed?
No, not one way or the other, but
Okay.
I could look into it, or we could call facilities.
Yeah, just a thought. It was just dark when we were there. I don't know if it's, if that was temporary or not. But
All
I mean,
right.
it could have been. I mean, it's kind of been a work in progress to get the security moved over that way. So, yeah, but we can add it to the list. And
okay.
We may want to find out if it's possible to use the other entrance for voting, so that that's not a backup. That's a pretty tight space.
yeah,
It's
I mean-
helpful because the elevator's there.
yeah, Teresa, can you just put those on the notes, and I'll try and remember to talk to Gina when she's back feeling better.
Right.
Yep,
So
yep. Yep.
So for the entrance, we'll need to check also for cameras and lighting, and we may need additional signage. They usually provide signage for, voting this way, but we'll check into that. We may also have to put something in when letting people know when we send the information out.
I mean, it has been switched for a while now, so I feel like a lot of the regulars have figured out that it has moved, but I mean, we can ask all these questions.
Mhm. Okay.
Is the chamber itself the voting room?
Yeah, on the second floor. Yes.
Next one is the Eastport Volunteer Fire Hall, which is that's the Ward 8. We always it can be a little confusing because the fire hall is in 8 and across the street, the church is in 6. Which makes me think from the last time we talked about maybe putting signage over at the church so that people know that it's not at the church, it's at the fire hall. And the other thing we did last time and want to make sure they do again is if it's inclement weather, to put a tent up outside so people can be under the tent if there's a line. So we'll make a note of that also. Any questions on the fire hall? Also, the drop box for that will be out by the road. They had some construction there, so I think they've put in a garden or some sort of memorial. So I don't know if that will, Teresa, if that's something you can add also for Regina, see if that's going to affect the Dropbox location.
Okay.
When I drove by there recently, I think they can put it in pretty much the same place, but that location, if I recall, was a little tricky because of the angles of the cameras. Any other comments about the fire hall? Okay. On to Pit Moyer Rec Center. That would be for Ward 5. It always seems to work out well. Okay, the American Legion Post 141 on Forest Drive. The only thing I can think of that maybe when the county does their assessment is just to take into consideration all the new construction that's going on right next to it. But any other comments?
No, it'll look different. I mean, the property is still the same. It just doesn't have open space next to it anymore.
Right, I'm just thinking in terms of any accessibility issues with cars. And some people do sometimes walk there.
Ah, okay.
Eastport Annapolis Neck Library, that usually is fine. It's always of interest that that's physically in the county.
Right.
The Dropbox has worked out well there. That's one of the ones that has a smaller space in terms of being able to fit both precincts in, but it wasn't a problem last time. There may be a little bit of a line, but it moved quickly. Then for Ward 6, we have the Eastport Community Center. They also had the Dropbox out on, is that President Street? Any questions about that? No. Okay, then the Michael E. Bush Annapolis Library would be for Ward 2. I noticed that they were a Dropbox location for the presidential, but it was in a different spot than what we had it in. Not a big difference, but when we put it there, there was a reason in terms of the cameras. So I would just double check if there was a reason that they had to move it. And then for Ward 3 is the Mount Olive Community Life Center. They have a great big space, and that's always been, and they have parking, which is great. And that is the site that will have to rent a camera. Or what, we didn't rent it actually. The police department, we use one of their, I guess they have mobile cameras or something. But if you could check Teresa to see if Regina's been in touch with them, I'm pretty sure she probably has.
Okay.
And then we always have to have backup for that in case they have to pull it. But whatever worked the last time, I think we can just do again. Teresa, having these, the names of the contacts on here is really helpful. Thank you for adding those.
No problem.
I don't think we've had them before, and having them accessible on the day of the election would be really helpful if there is a problem. That we can contact somebody. We have it close by. Any other questions, concerns? Nope. So can I have a motion to accept the polling Dropbox locations as presented this evening?
Motion to accept the polling Dropbox locations as presented this evening.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye. So
Aye.
Eileen, this will be the second time that it's been one location per precinct instead of two.
Yes. So we did it for the primary and the general. It's
In
hard to tell.
21.
Right.
Yeah.
If you go by the standards that the county's been using, they're very comfortable with it fitting, because you're putting 2 precincts in. So when people go in, you have to figure out which precinct they're in. So they usually set it up so it's kind of like one side or the other.
Yeah.
And then they
No, I'm
send,
fine with one because I don't think we have a ton of voters, I mean, we're a small, even if everybody voted, it's a small amount. And then there's no confusion, right? You just go to the same spot and then you have to go to your right precinct, but it's the same building.
right. And one of the things we really were striving for last time was consistency. Because what was happening a lot of times was we would get a second location, and then in the next election, it would be a different second location.
Yeah,
So
no, that's not good.
these have all been voting places numerous times, especially since the last time I think they used, the city used the schools was 2013. And what the county does also, and we'll see if they'll do it again, is what they've done in the past is they've put signage up at the schools to let people know that there's no voting there, where to go in that ward. And that's been helpful because I think Georgetown East was one that a lot of people showed up at. But again, these are all pretty well known.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So next item is to review the annual report. This is a report that all commissions and boards have to submit on a yearly basis. I kind of followed that. There's a template that Hillary sends out, and I just used the one that Keanu used last time. It can go from being wordy to being not many words. So I just try to go with some consistency in what we've done in the past. So hopefully you've had a chance to look at it. I followed in putting it together. I basically just followed our minutes.
I don't have any comments on this either. I think it's well put together. Thank you.
So I even hit grammar check, so hopefully it's not too.
Okay. Is this AI chat bot or whatever? Is this Chat GPT?
What is? No.
Did you write this yourself or is it a
No, I wrote it myself. I'm not
robot?
not that technologically adept, so.
It would be a good use of ChatGPT.
We have to have Liam. Liam, you're gonna have to be our techie, our AI person.
I don't know, but it would this actually might be a good use for it.
Mhm. So, all right, well then can I have a motion to accept the annual report for submission as written?
I move that we accept the 2024 Board of Supervisors of Elections annual report as presented tonight.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. All right. Okay.
Thank you,
old
Eileen.
business. What?
Thank you.
Oh.
Even though a robot wrote it.
There was some cutting and pasting going on, I will admit to that. Next order of business, which seems to be continuing, is the fair election practices. This is specifically the campaign fund report. Just to give you some background, Liam, the campaign fund report is something that comes up in July, and then with an election coming up, we'll get them more frequently. We review them ourselves, which could be a real labor of love. So we were trying to make it, in terms of the updates, make it a little bit more user-friendly, make it a little bit easier to fill it, and also to submit it, and also try to eliminate some of the areas of confusion that have occurred. For instance, on the form, you can put transfers in two different places. And so at our last meeting, we made this the decision to just take it out of one schedule and put it on another one. So the new schedules have been formatted. The typos that you picked up, Debbie, have been corrected. And I talked with Alexis, who's working on it. I talked with her today. And it still wasn't quite clear to me how the process works in terms of, I know how to download it and fillable, but it wasn't really clear in terms of submission. And there are some questions in terms how we want to have it submitted. And so I'm going to have to defer to when Regina's with us to get a firm answer on that, because there is the ability to submit it directly to the website, which is where it ends up. But we're still working out some of the kinks as far as, I know that Regina needs to get an actual hard copy of the fund report. So I have to work some of that out in terms of finishing the instructions. As far as the instructions are concerned, I've reviewed them and done a quick draft and gotten some input from Alexis, but there were still a couple of questions, so I didn't want to send anything to you all until I got firmer answers. So I apologize for not having something a little firmer for you to review for tonight, but certainly want to get it done so that we can finalize it in February. My goal would be to get it out for some distribution in March, hopefully March 1, because candidates are campaigning, they are accepting money, so we'll need to do that. I'm hoping also, in talking with Alexis, that I can make it so that when we get these final pieces put together, that you all can actually go and maybe do it, do a test yourself, fill it in yourself and see how it works and see if we need to make any changes. And certainly, Debbie, for you having been a treasurer before, you'll have some user input. So, like I said, there's just a couple of missing pieces still. I did also, to the draft, added some of the additional codes that we had talked about. So, so it's really just coming down to the final instructions for how to use the new form. Any questions about that?
Well, it should be an improvement. I think they'll be grateful. You know, the treasurers, the candidates, we needed to do something. So if
Right,
it's not perfect, it's better than it was.
right. And just kind of streamline it and make it, easier in that regard. I did notice, which kind of brings me up to something in a minute. I noticed that the ethics reports that we have to fill in, the financial statements, they're doing it on a fillable form that you download and then submit. And so that's what we were looking at today in terms of using those instructions, or will it work the same way? So that's what I was asking Alexis about today. Unfortunately, she's very tech savvy, and unfortunately, I'm not very tech savvy, so we weren't necessarily communicating super well. But I think we got it.
What is
Any other comments?
what's the, just from my knowledge, what's the frequency of it being, I think you said starting in, you say June and then an increasing frequency?
Yes, during an election year, generally it's July 1, they have to be submitted by. That's when there's not an election that's coming up. Now that we have an election coming up, I don't know the exact dates, but they start getting to be almost every 2 weeks.
Okay.
That they have to be submitted. So what's happened in the past few years is, Liam, is that rather than try to fill out these paper forms that we had, candidates have submitted Excel spreadsheets, which is fine, but they tend not to include all of the information. Their headings changed. Sometimes they don't put a heading on there, and it became really frustrating
Confused.
for us because we'd be sending them back for amended reports on little stuff, minutia, but we couldn't move them forward. So the idea hopefully is, since we have a fully fillable form, they can just use that and everybody will be consistent. And so we're not looking at different columns and spending time trying to find the information.
Gotcha.
So
So the way that you, once this is implemented, we won't be accepting Excel documents that are not in the format that we've provided. Is that correct?
I believe, in talking with Regina, if someone submits their own Excel spreadsheet, we accept it because it's in the code.
Okay.
That we accept their Excel spreadsheet. Is that correct, Ashley? Yes, yes. But we're going to strongly encourage them, even if they want to do their own Excel spreadsheet, that they use our columns.
Thank you.
So-
Yeah, I mean, right. We tried to write the city's report to match up with what the treasurers and the candidates were doing. So it should convey. They should be able to just use the city form or convey their form to our form. You know, it would be nice if our form met all their requirements. But it does depend on what system and I guess what program they're comfortable with.
Thank you.
Um,
Clarification.
Okay, so yeah, because we do what, I think 13, we have 13 submissions in July. And now with new candidates coming up, we're probably looking at least cruising towards, by July, with more announcements of alder people, we'll be reviewing between 20, maybe even 25 different reports, so.
I love having a healthy election.
Well, and also there's a component of making it more transparent too, because what happens is it gets, amended reports, and it's hard even for us sometimes to track everything. All right, any other comments on that? Any other questions?
Right, so looking at the checklist, the campaign report checklist,
Mhm.
Other than the annual, which are always due July 1, the new candidates won't have that. But it's, the first
They
one
will
would be
have
in
that.
August.
They will have July 1.
Even the new ones who
They're
are just,
collecting money.
all right, if they've collected
Yeah.
money, yeah,
Mhm.
okay. So July 1 for everybody. And then probably August, September, October, December,
There's no,
and the
no
annual,
December. Yeah. Well, December is the follow-up, the post one.
right? So they won't, it'll be July, August, September, 2 in October, and December. And then not until July of 26.
Right.
Okay.
And then hopefully with our change to the surplus funds, that may get some people motivated to close out their accounts.
All right, yeah.
Yeah. So for your information, Liam, in the past, when you had funds and you wanted to close your account, your options for surplus funds was to either give them to the city to help defray election costs or give them to the central committee. And so some candidates have wanted other options, and one of the options that the state gives is that you can give it to a nonprofit. And so that's a change that we made this past year. So a third option now is they can give it to a nonprofit, and we stipulated that it was a nonprofit that was in Annapolis. So we're trying to keep the money at home. So I think that will help some people. Okay,
That's closing the account after the election.
correct. They don't have to close it, but if they choose to close it, we have a couple of candidates, one in particular that hasn't run for office in 8 years, maybe. But has a fairly large account and has been really hesitant to give it all to the city and or the central committee. So this will give him another option.
Understood.
Um,
And those, if it's an account that's not being used for an election for any candidate, are they also submitting the additional documents during the election year?
No, if they're not a candidate.
Just
You
once.
know, I'm not sure about that.
I thought it was just if you're not running, if you didn't file a certificate of candidacy, but you have a campaign fund report, you just would do the July 1. But if you're running in that election, then you would be doing all the others.
I would have to check on that. I'm not positive because we've gone back and forth in terms of if you're have an open campaign, are you still a candidate or not? So I don't recall. Do you actually recall?
It's fuzzy. It's been a long day, but the problem I think comes down to is our definition of candidate.
Right. Well, let's check. We'll check and see. Teresa, maybe if you can check and see what we did the last time, if they did their reports. I mean, if
Yeah,
they're not
this will be
running
my
and they're not
first one,
collecting money, they
Liam.
just put the same report
My-
in. And then they just say that they're not collecting any money.
Eileen's our voice of the past, and Ashley, because I mean, I came on the year after the election, but this will be my first election year.
Right.
Um,
The fun's just beginning.
I'm sorry, when I do have to go back to the annual report,
Mhm.
is that the attendance chart there? Yeah,
Yes.
okay,
Did I get
so
it right?
I noticed it looks like I don't think I missed any meetings, but it looks like there's a dash for me for January, February, and March. So I was thinking I wasn't appointed till April, but last year I was. And, Keanu and I were both serving, the last couple years.
Did an old table come forward?
So, yeah, I can check. I don't, I don't remember missing any. If I missed any, maybe one, but not three in a row. Isn't that grounds anyway for dismissal?
Well, yeah, but if I've got it wrong, then I probably pulled over a wrong table.
Yeah.
All right, let me see if I can
I'm
find
not
it.
going to let you all do this without me.
Well, then we need to amend it and vote on it again.
Yeah, I'm sorry. When we did that,
Fine.
I just was thinking it was before I was elected or appointed. And that's why it was like that.
Well, that would have gone back to the before.
Yeah, do you remember? I don't remember.
I'm sorry, I'm looking it up. I don't have it in front of me. That's what I'm
Okay,
looking
I
at.
might.
The one thing I didn't print out.
I might have my notebook here of
Well, I'm sure you were there. I think my table's probably incorrect.
yeah. All right, that's August. It'll be in the minutes. I thought I had all the minutes printed, but
Yeah, no,
they're
I have it in
online.
front of me, so you're correct. So I will make that correction.
April.
I'll make that correction and put in there that you were in attendance at those three.
Okay.
So I'll need another motion.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I'm glad you picked that up when you did.
Motion to amend the 2024 annual report, specifically the attendance chart.
Okay. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, I'll take care of that.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, I always like to just have general discussion in case some things come up. Just wanted to, I mentioned it earlier, you all should have gotten ethics financial disclosure statements. Did you get one, Liam?
Yes.
Okay. So so if you could just take care of that, otherwise they start sending me emails saying your members haven't complied. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to give Karen a call. It's pretty straightforward, and this is the first time I recall it being fillable. So again, this is kind of the concept we have with the campaign fund reports. So I haven't filled mine out yet, but I did take a look at it. So that'd be great. Another option that we've had talked about in the past was a work session with the city council. I did get a phone call from Kate Pettit in the mayor's office asking about it. I know that Alderman Huntley would like to discuss ranked choice voting. I think we talked about that at our last meet. I can't remember if it was November or not, but he would like to at least discuss it. And I think we're getting there's a little bit more buzz going on in terms of the task force recommendations and what might be able to come up before this current council finishes their terms. So I'll keep you posted about that. I sent a quick outline to Kate in terms of the types of things we've been discussing, mostly looking at what we've done in the past before elections is to meet with the city council just to review code. And especially this year, since we've got some changes to code. And then if there are questions in regards to the recommendations, we can answer some of those. So I don't have anything more information on that, except there seems to be some interest being generated by the alderman. Any other questions, input? pretty
Nope.
straightforward meeting tonight.
Mhm.
Right, Teresa, do you have anything?
No, ma'am.
Nope, Ashley? Nope. All right, well, we do have a little bit of work to get done and, oh, I know, it's also gonna, did I already mention the candidate handbook? I don't
No.
think so. So the candidate handbook is something that, in the last election, Susan Eckert, who, was the, election assistant, put together, and so that needs to be revised, particularly to include the new code. And so hopefully, I've done a quick review of it. Hopefully, I'll be working with Regina and Teresa to get a draft of that to you all at our next meeting, and again, to try to get that out in March. Feel free to go ahead and look at it. It's posted online. I think it was a good resource. We tried to get people to sign saying that they reviewed it, and that didn't go very far. But one of the things we had hoped to gain by having this handbook was that candidates and their treasurers and their campaign managers would look at the handbook before calling the election office with questions, realizing that sometimes going to the website and going through code can be difficult. So it was trying to pick it out, and also included the different forms that they would be using, not just the campaign fund report, but other forms such as watchers and challengers and things like that, and included some information about election judges and that sort of thing. So that's something else. A third thing, we had hoped to maybe go over the communication plan or voter education program. Mitchell wasn't able to join us tonight, so that'll probably be on the agenda next month also. She sent out a draft of something for me, but I wasn't able to open it, so I need to touch base with her so it can be open and make sure that both Debbie, both you and Liam get copies of it and look at it. So I'll follow up on that also. Anything else?
Nothing from me.
No. Debbie, you have anything else?
Nope. I'm good.
Okay. Well, we did pretty well. So we have no further business. It's now 7:49. Motion to adjourn from anyone?
I move that Board of Supervisors of Elections adjourns at 7:49 on January 16th, 2025.
All right,
Second.
second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you, everybody. We'll see you
right,
in
thank you.
February.
Thanks, Jen.